Amen. Here at Foundation, we believe in something that we refer to 2 or 3 different times throughout the year as the 4-14 window. And the 4-14 window represents an age bracket or age gap where people make a decision to follow Jesus. That in the United States, the overwhelming majority of people decide to give their life to Jesus between the ages of 4 and 14. The number's over 80%. And so a lot of times when we hear that number is not just a number that's given to us here at Foundation. It's known nationwide. It's a big deal. That's when the large, overwhelming majority of people make that decision of faith is in that particular age gap. And so because of that, churches all over the place have an opportunity to prioritize that age gap, 4 to 14 years old. And they pour everything they got into it and say, hey, we want to make sure that kids know Jesus. And it's really great. It's a really great thing for us to know this is typically when this happens. Now here at Foundation, our numbers don't quite match up with the national average. Over half of the people that decide to give their life to Jesus here at Foundation are over the age of 18. And so while things are not atypical here, where we have a lot of folks that are exploring faith in the adulthood and making decisions, it doesn't change the reality that it's still an enormously important moment in that particular age gap to give them the opportunity to own their own faith. And with that creates some problems. There's a study that we reference every year. It came out about 4.5 years ago. And it was a study that took about a decade of research and interviews and just a ton of getting after it to come up with some results about the state of the church, in particular with folks who grew up in the church and are currently growing up in the church, and what it looks like long-term for church attendance and involvement in terms of faith, not just to a building, to a group of people, but in terms of faith altogether. And they came back from this study, and again, it's something we talk about every year. At least once a year, we bring up this study. And the study came back with 3 scenarios: a worst case scenario, a middle of the road case scenario, and a best case scenario, given what they had learned throughout their data. And this is what it said: in terms of kids who grew up in the church or are currently growing up in the church, this is the outcome. I'm going to give you just 2 of them. The best case scenario says this: by the year 2050, 35 million kids raised in Christian homes will disaffiliate from Christianity. And you're probably wondering, hold on, I thought you said we were doing the best case scenario. No, that is the best case scenario. Best case scenario, there's 35 million kids that by 2050 will say, no, I'm not interested in having any affiliation with Jesus, though they grew up in a home that would be characterized as a Christian home. Here's the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is by 2050, 42 million kids raised in Christian homes will disaffiliate from Christianity. That's an enormous number. So say we split the difference and we get right in between. Either way, it's still a problem. It means that over 1 million young adults every year are children who are in our Sunday school classes or in our kids' classes, our youth groups, confirmation classes, mission trips, all of those kind of things. Those types of kids are saying, hey, I want nothing to do with Jesus anymore. And why is that? Well, it's actually maybe a little simpler to say, harder to do something about. The practical cause for those walking away from faith is that their understanding of the person of Jesus from their childhood and teen years was not sufficient to keep them in a relationship with him into adulthood. In other words, the Jesus that they grow up getting to know is not a Jesus that they're willing to continue to know as they grow into being an adult. Now, there's a few reasons for this. 2 of them are on the church side of things. I'll share those with you. The first is this: student and kids ministry had nothing to do with spiritual development. It was one of 2 things. It was either entertainment hour or it was glorified babysitting, right? And we put a biblical frame on it, like let's put a biblical title on it. But at the end of the day, the really important thing is what adults are doing and what kids are doing aren't that important. Let's just make sure we give them back to their parents alive. Like that's the goal. If they're alive and they're not screaming at the end, then we have won. Success. Check the box. We get an A+ for the day. And when that happens, then there's nothing happening in that time to challenge or to share. It's just making sure they're safe, which safety obviously is a huge priority. It just can't be the only priority. Second issue, On this end, a lot of times it's both a parent and a church issue, but it's this, is that kids are taught that their faith hinges on simply asking Jesus into their heart. And that's a problem. I get it. I know. I get it, bro. There's no one more groaning than I am. Amen. That's my favorite moment this year. You know? You're dang right. Man. That's the deal, because that's not a biblical idea. Like saying, hey, I hope I'm going to save a little room for Jesus in my heart. It's just not a biblical thing. You can't find it anywhere. It's not in there. You can even go read the original languages. It's not in Hebrew or Aramaic or Greek. It's not in English. It's nowhere. We have made it up and invented it to simplify the idea of having a relationship with Jesus. We just boil it down to this idea. We want you to have a moment instead of being a part of a movement. Moments happen one single solitary time. And that's what's happening with kids, is they think, oh, there is this moment when I asked Jesus into my heart. Who taught you that? Well, maybe the pastor taught you, or a youth group leader, or maybe your mom and dad passed it down from their grandmother. Either way, the Bible didn't teach us that. I don't know where we got it from, but it makes it simpler. But at the end of the day, Jesus never says, I hope you save some space for me in your heart because I need a little 2-bedroom, that kind of thing. No, Jesus' invitation is come follow me. Come follow me. I don't need a space in your heart. I need you to follow me. In fact, it's not even just this one moment. Jesus says, if you want to come after me, you must first deny yourself, take up your cross daily, and follow me. That it's not a moment that happens one time when you're 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. That every day you've got to decide, what am I picking up? My selfish ambitions or the cross of Jesus? And that's a decision you get to make every single day. But when we teach the opposite, when we teach, it's about this moment where maybe you prayed and the eyes were closed and heads were bowed, and that moment is what your relationship with Jesus is all about. No wonder it doesn't last for decades. Third thing, and this goes off of the church, or the church doesn't have a lot of role in this. It's a parent's decision. Parents didn't live out during the week a visible and noticeable way for their kids to take notice that the relationship with Jesus was important. The Jesus they learned about growing up no longer interests them, because the primary encounter with Jesus they had was on Sunday morning. And they did not see Jesus reflected in their parents' lives on Monday nights, or Tuesday mornings headed to school, or Friday nights, or Saturday mornings, or Saturday afternoons, or Sunday afternoons. On Sundays, in the morning, we go to church. But then after that, there's not a lot of Jesus conversation. So how do we fix it? At Foundation, we would use a phrase, and we have used this phrase since the very beginning. You got to go all in. You got to go all in. And so we've got 10 milestones for what it looks like to be an all-in family. This is, hey, I want to give my kids the best opportunity to own their own faith. And that's important. We don't want them borrowing their faith from you or inheriting their faith from you. We want them to own it, for it to be theirs, for them to build it from the ground up. Now, you might give them a great foundation for which to start, but they've got to build it themselves. They've got to go through the hard questions. They've got to be allowed to ask hard questions. They got to be able to get into the nitty-gritty of what faith is and what living a life of faith is. So here's 10 milestones. You can maybe use it like a checklist. I'm going to fire through these pretty quickly, but at the end they'll be in a list if you want to take a picture of them. And if you want to talk more about them, obviously our staff is always willing to have that conversation. The first one is this: exploring the Bible. Now this is big. This is big. If the only time they hear or see or do anything with the Bible is on Sunday mornings when someone who's teaching opens it up or goes to it on an iPad or whatever, if they never see a Bible any other time, if they don't have their own Bible, they can say, hey, where is that story? We talked about the story. Where is it? And you can do a little Google search and they can kind of take a look and see where it's at in the Bible. If there's no exploring the Bible, then why would they think the Bible is important? If you never talk about the Bible, the only people that talk about the Bible is a pastor on a Sunday morning, and that's the extent of it, then why would they think that whatever's in the Bible has any value to who you are? Second thing, prayer. Now, we do this pretty well because we like to teach nursery rhymes, and so we sit down and we have some dinner and we fold our hands and we close our eyes and we say, hey, God is great and God is good and let us thank him for our food. Or maybe there's some other ones there's other like little nursery rhyme type things that we do it. I'm telling you, if that's the only time your kids ever experience prayer is when you're going to sit down and have some food, and we're missing it. If you want to go all in, you got to introduce the idea that, hey, mom and I, or maybe if it's just you might be all alone in it by yourself right now in this season of life. Like, hey, I pray. Like, we pray. This is a big deal to us. We talk to God regularly about the things that we're excited about and the things that are difficult for us. Third thing, baptism by immersion. That we want to say, hey, what Jesus asks us to do is important. And what we see Jesus do throughout the Bible and what the people that are closest to Jesus do throughout the Bible are important, and we should follow their example. And so this is something we want to explore, that we see that baptism is a huge part of this beginning relationship with Jesus. It's a significant piece of our ongoing relationship with Jesus. We should be a part of that. Fourth thing, regular gathering commitment. Now, here's the thing. When you think through gatherings on Sunday mornings, when I was growing up, the family that I was grafted into when I was adopted, they went to church all the time, like Sunday morning and Sunday night and Wednesday night, and there was like youth group and kids stuff that seemed like all the time. Like every time I turned around, I was in the car and we were headed back to church. And in fact, on some, like I can't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday night, we would get in a van and go to people's houses and knock on their door, and they would come to the door and they seemed excited. I think it's because the preacher was there and they can't say, what the heck are you doing here? But so they would invite us inside, or sometimes we would stand out there awkwardly. It was absolutely an awful experience. But it's what we did. Like we were just always doing church, like nonstop. It was just a part of what we're doing. That's not even the culture that we live in anymore. We got Sunday mornings and seasonally we do groups, right? Like it's just spring and fall we do groups. And so, but when you think about, hey, are you committed to a regular gathering commitment? That's a good question. That doesn't mean that you're here every week. I don't think that's possible for most people. We got travel sports and vacations and just all kind of things. Family comes in town and it's like, no, I want to do a big breakfast and take whatever those things are, right? And those are fine. But when you think about your life, when you look back on your year, the question becomes, generally speaking, on Sunday mornings, have we decided, hey, church is going to be a thing for our family? Generally speaking, is that true or false? Now, if it's like generally speaking, we go on Christmas and Easter, well, it's okay just to say it's not that important to us right now. Maybe the church hasn't made a good enough case why this is important, or maybe you've looked into it and you haven't made a good case to yourself. Either way, just tell the truth. Like, this is just not important to us regularly, and that's all right, because then it allows you to ask the question, why is that? Chase that answer down. I don't want to get into that right now. But regular gathering commitment, that's number 4. Number 5, serving. We have a definition here at Foundation for serving. It's being inconvenienced for the good of another. And I think it's important that your kids understand what it means to be inconvenienced for someone else's good. And they need to have that modeled, and they need to experience it with you. Number 6, generosity. That they need to understand that, hey, what you have as a mom or dad or a single parent or a grandparent or a guardian, that what you have, even though it all technically belongs to you, you've decided it actually all belongs to God. And the easiest way, I think, to help model this, especially when the kids are young, if your kids are like my kids anyway, when we go into a store, there's always this conversation where it's like, hey, Dad, can we just go, we're not going to buy anything, but can we just go look? Can we go look at the toy section? Can we just go look? We don't want to buy anything. I just want to look. And it's like, yeah, we'll go look. And then when we get there, it never fails. We get there and they're like, hey, didn't I get like $20 from Grandma at Christmas that you put in your wallet and you never gave me? Like, do I remember that correctly? It's like, yeah, you remember it correctly. And I probably bought Chick-fil-A the next day for you. And it says done. We spent it. It's over with. It's over with. No, but you need to have a conversation. It's one of the easiest ways to teach them. Have a conversation in the toy aisle and say, hey, here's the deal. We do make enough money for us to come here and for you to get a toy, and I can go over to my favorite section. Maybe it's Hearth and Home and Magnolia. I don't know what your section is in Target. Say, we got enough for you to get a toy and for me to get a little toy. You know what I'm saying? But we've decided that not all of what we make are we going to spend on ourselves. And we prioritize giving some of that away. And so we give towards our church, We give towards nonprofits who are doing really great things in our community, like helping the food insecure at Bridging the Gap, or helping with addiction recovery and resources at Coweta Force. Like that there's things that we've decided, and we could certainly buy more things for ourselves, but we want to prioritize what we have and say, hey, we're actually going to be giving some of what we have away, which means we've got to say no sometimes. And they should feel some of that pain, and you should let them know it's not just their toys, that you're also making a decision. I could have more things, but we've decided we want to give in that moment. Generosity. Number 7, 5 Jesus-following adults. Now, this can't be someone that's in your family. It's not going to be grandparents. It's not going to be immediate family, people they live with. But the studies show that the most influential people in a teenager's life, in a kid's life, student's life, middle school, high school, the 5 most influential people are not their peers. It's not. It's the 5 adults outside of their family that will invest in who they are. Sometimes it's a coach. Sometimes it's a really good friend of the family. Sometimes it could be a student pastor, a kid's pastor. But it's adults that say, you know what, I'm going to take an interest and I'm going to spend time with and invest in this particular kid. And those 5 have more influence than their peers at school, 100%. And so when you think through that, of making space for adults to be in your kid's life, you ought to think through the lens of, how do I get more Jesus-following adults to want to be interested in investing in my kids? And you should chase down those opportunities. When those opportunities come up, you should say, hey, I want to go after this. This is important to me. Number 8, not to be confused with number 7, but Christian community. This is not those 5 adults. This is just, generally speaking, do your kids see what following Jesus looks like in other families? Are they around other people that are walking through the same thoughts? It takes a village. Now, you have to be careful with number 8 because it will become exclusive. And the last thing you want is your children to be around only Christians. That is the worst thing you can do. Because at some point, they're going to leave your house. And guess what they're going to find? A group of people that are not followers of Jesus. And if that's the first time they spend significant time with people who do not align in terms of their hopes and dreams and values and following Jesus, you can only imagine the choices they have to make, that they are ill-equipped to actually decide for themselves. It's difficult. They should be involved with other people. That's what we talk about, this one investment. Number 9, Jesus tells a story. There's a shepherd with 100 sheep and one gets lost. And he makes the declaration, doesn't the shepherd leave the 99 in the open country and go chase down the one until he finds it? The answer to that's yes. That's what he does. And so there's people in your life that you care about already, that you know are far from God. They're close to you, but far from God. And in your mind, it ought to be registering, who else ought to share and tell them about Jesus than me? Because I'm already a Jesus follower, and I know Jesus isn't important to them. And so I should be the one that introduces them to that reality. And so when your kids start to look at your life, do they ever see you taking time to invest in people that have nothing to do with your church or your faith? Last thing, number 10, repentance modeling. Your kids have to grow up in a household where they realize that you aren't perfect. They need to see and hear you acknowledge that you make mistakes. If your kids grow up in a category, in a household where they think that you are flawless, it sets them up for an absolute disaster. Because the moment that they're an adult and they realize that you actually aren't perfect, now they've got to make a really hard decision. Well, they said Jesus was perfect too. I bet he's not either. Jesus can be the only perfect person in your life, and you've got to remind people of that. And so you've got to be quick to admit, and I know for sure, stereotypically, at least the people that I'm involved with, dads, we're the worst to say, hey, yeah, I got that wrong. We should be the first to admit, I didn't do that right. I didn't handle this appropriately. This is not the man I want to be. It's not the father I want to be. It's not the husband I want to be. And I want to make sure you know that I got this wrong. This was absolutely not who I want you to be or who I want myself to be. And we've got to be quick to apologize. We've got to be the people that says, hey, though I do want to be perfect, and honestly, sometimes I think maybe I give it a good run for its money as a father. Truth is, I don't get it right. And I want to make sure that I'm the first to let you know. Because then it gives you an opportunity to point to who you're actually following. Jesus doesn't follow you, you follow him. Those are 10 just bullet point milestones for being all in as a family. This morning, we've got a number of families here at the 11, in addition to the ones that already came and were a part of it at the 9, that have decided they want to go all in at giving their kids the opportunity, the best opportunity to own their faith. And so I'm going to ask if they would stand and start making their way to the stage. And while they do that, I'm going to ask that Adam, our student pastor, and Robin, our Kids First director, come on up and they will walk you through how this next little section goes. Adam, Robin?
Yeah. Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Adam. I'm the student pastor, which means that I lead 6th through 12th grade here at Foundation.
And my name is Robin. I'm the Kids First director, which means I lead birth to 5th grade.
Yeah. So Clint mentioned, hey, the second milestone was prayer. We're actually going to go ahead and give you a challenge to live that out as these families are walking up. The challenge is before you go to bed tonight that you would pray for one of these families. Maybe if you have a family, if you're a dad, you would get your family together and say, hey, we're going to pray for another family that was at church this morning. Not while you're here, but before you go to bed tonight. And maybe it's because one of the answers they give you resonate to, or their family kind of looks like yours, or whatever the case. Just pick a family, and the challenge is that you would pray for them before they go to bed tonight.
Yes. And another word for challenge is homework. And so that's what Adam just gave you guys. In case if you were unaware, he gave you guys homework. But what's really cool is all these families up here actually had their own set of homework. So when they registered to be a part of this day, they were given homework to think through the idea of their kids turning 18 and leaving their house. They were asked to come up with 3 words that they would want their kids to be identified as. Words that would describe their kids. Now, this is not where they are now. You know, they've got time to work on these 3 words, but this is their end destination, their goal, their hopes, their dreams, that their kids would be defined as these 3 words. So they did great on the homework. They did awesome. They spent time thinking about it. And we would like to share this morning some of those words that they picked with you guys. We're going to bring our first family on up. Would you go ahead and introduce yourselves to all of us?
Hello, good morning.
Yeah.
My name is Gabriel. This is my wife, Yolanda, and this is our daughter, Alea. And we're going all in. And the words that we picked were first, faithful. As long as you have faith in God and faith in yourself, then you can accomplish anything. And then the second word was industrious, faith without works is dead, right? So you want to be industrious, right? And then our last word was kind and compassionate, because you can be faithful, you can be industrious, but then make sure you're also affecting the people around you in a kind manner as well. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for explaining those for us this morning. Those 3 words, like you just said, were faithful, kind, and industrious. And so we promise to partner with you guys, to be all in with you guys, to help you to raise Alea to be faithful, kind, and industrious. All right, right up here. Make it right.
Good morning. I am Casey. This is my beautiful wife, Brandy, my son Noah, and Isaac. And
Awesome. You got what you got?
I don't remember.
It's okay. No. You're good. I thought, and we're here this morning. I don't know. So you guys chose 3 words for your boys as well. And so for Noah, you chose, I love it. Wave to them. Wave to the crowd. That's good, Noah. You chose honest, courageous, and patient. And so we promise to partner with you guys, to be all in, to help you guys to raise Noah to be honest, courageous, and patient. Can you hold this too, buddy? Thank you. All right, and then for Isaac, the 3 words you guys chose were honest, courageous, and patient. And so we promise to partner with you guys to be all in, to help you guys raise Isaac to be honest, courageous, and patient. Got that? You gonna wave, Isaac? There you go. Good job, boys.
Good morning. My name's Rebecca. This is my husband, Jason, and our daughter, Harley.
All right, and so for Harley, you guys chose 3 words. Those 3 words were joyful, compassionate, and faithful. So we promise to be all in with you guys, to partner with you, to help raise Harley to be joyful, compassionate, and faithful. So you got it. Good job. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Natalie Woods. This is my husband, David, our daughter, Ava, and our son, Braden.
You're going to hang on to that? You're so great. Look, you didn't need a microphone, though, Natalie. I should have not even given you one. You can hear Natalie's laugh miles away, so you just hang on to yoga and pass it to the next person behind you. You got this. All right, so Braden is up here this morning, and so you chose 3 words for Braden, and those words were leader, hardworking, and forgiving. So we promise to be all in with you guys, to partner with you, to help you guys raise Braden to be a leader, hardworking, and forgiving. There you go,
buddy. Hey, good morning. How you doing? I am Billy. This is my wife Jennifer, our daughters Megan and McKinley.
Y'all are so excited to be up here this morning. I can tell. The 3 words you picked for Megan were caring, faithful, and strong. And so we partner to go all in with you to help raise Megan to be caring, faithful, and strong. Thank you. And the words you picked for McKinley were kind, loving, and grateful. So we promise to go all in to help raise McKinley to be kind, loving, and grateful. You can hand that to the next person.
Oh, I love it. You're just going to dance up here real quick.
Hey, everybody. My name's Hunter. This is my wife, Camille, and our son, Wilkes.
What do you want to say, Wilkes? So the 3 words you guys chose for Wilkes were courageous, compassionate, and trustworthy. I would say you're pretty courageous already, Wilkes. And so we promise to partner with you guys, to be all in with you, to help you guys to raise Wilkes to be courageous, compassionate, and trustworthy.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Chris. This is my wife, Megan, and our little boy, Beckett.
Beckett. So great to have you here this morning, Beckett. First time on stage, second time in the building, right? I love it, love it. We're waiting for him to come upstairs. Don't worry, we're patiently waiting for him. So you guys chose 3 words for Beckett, and those 3 words were compassionate, curious, and courageous. So we promise to partner with you guys to be all in, to help you guys raise Beckett to be compassionate, curious, and courageous.
Hi, my name is Barrett. This is my wife, Erin, and then we have Wyatt and Jack and Rhett here today with us.
Hey, Rhett! Oh, I saw those eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you upset him, not me.
right
That was
here.
not
He's
me.
like
That
right
was Barrett. You guys chose 3 words for Rhett. Those 3 words were courageous, honest, and loyal. So we promise to partner with you guys, to be all in, to help you guys raise Rhett to be courageous, honest, and loyal. Big brother, thank you.
Good morning, my name's Aaron. This is my lovely wife, Hannah, and our son, Maverick.
Hey, Maverick. I love your outfit. You guys chose 3 words for Maverick. Those 3 words were wise, compassionate, and patient. So we promise to partner with you guys, to be all in, to help you guys raise Maverick to be wise, compassionate, and patient.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Lacey. This is my husband, Taylor, and these are our kids, Rhett, Renly, and Ryder.
Awesome. And so we've got Rhett up first, the oldest big brother. The 3 words you guys chose for Rhett were kind, courageous, and joyful. So we promise to partner with you guys, to be all in, to help you guys raise Rhett to be kind, courageous, and joyful. Keep coming back. Come back. I see why you got the microphone. All right, now, so for Rinley, the 3 words you guys chose were kind, courageous, and joyful. And so we promised to partner with you guys to be all in to help you guys raise Rinley to be kind, courageous, and joyful. You got it? And then for Ryder, you guys chose 3 words, and those words were kind, courageous, and joyful. So we promised to partner with you guys to be all in to help you guys raise Ryder to be kind, courageous, and joyful. You got it? Thank you.
Hey, I'm Jess. This is my wife Bridget and our son Maverick.
Yeah, second Maverick up here. I'll talk softer. You guys chose 3 words for Maverick. Those 3 words were courageous, compassionate, and honest. So we promised to partner with you guys to be all in to help you guys raise Maverick to be courageous, compassionate, and honest. You got it, buddy. Over here.
Hi, I'm Scott. This is my wife, Judy. My oldest, Graham. We have Charlie and Sadie.
All right, and you guys chose 3 words. This one's for Sadie, so 3 words you chose for Sadie were patience, joy, and temperance. So we promised to partner with you guys to be all in to help you guys to raise Sadie to have patience, have joy, and have temperance. For Charlie, the 3 words you guys chose were determination, peace, and discernment. And so we promised to partner with you guys to be all in to help you guys raise Charlie to have determination, peace, and discernment.
And for Graham, the 3 words you chose were honor, gentleness, and humility. So I promise to partner with you to be all in to raise Graham to have honor, gentleness, and humility. Y'all go ahead and give these families one more round of applause for coming up. Y'all go ahead and make your way down. Y'all can leave your way, make your way down.
Y'all can go ahead and make your way.
As they leave, again, let me remind you, if you haven't yet, pick a family as they exit. Pick a mom, pick a dad, and pray for them sometime this evening before you go to bed. Just the journey that they're on to say, hey, I want to start being intentional with my children and helping them grow closer to Jesus to own their faith. As they're making their way off stage, I'm going to invite a couple more friends onto stage. We're going to do a little interview this morning with some families who have been on this all-in journey for some years now. They went through All-In Sunday a couple years ago and have decided, hey, we've been doing this intentionality with our kids. And so our hope is that maybe this morning you could see some results that they have seen by saying, hey, I've been intentional with these milestones. I'm putting effort here. And so hopefully it might inspire you a little bit to say, hey, where am I at with my kids? Where am I at with my intentionality? And where can I see some chances for growth? And so Shane, how you doing this morning, man?
Good.
There it is. Doing good. Doing good.
Microphone had to wake
Mike,
up.
you got the microphone to start out. How are you?
Good.
Doing good? Awesome. So let's do this. Y'all go ahead and introduce your families. So let's say how, like your children, how old are they, and then how long you've been a part of Foundation.
All right, I'm Shane Henderson. This is my wife, Georgette. We have 4 children. Oldest, Shayna, who's 14. We've got twin 12-year-olds, Avery and Mia, and a little guy, Troy. He's 5 years old. We've been with Foundation since 2018, and have been enjoying it ever since.
Yeah, y'all got a gamut of kids, all the way from high school all the way down. And so we got a picture this time of when y'all actually went through All In Sunday, I believe. And so this is them. Was that back at the high school?
Yes, 2020 in the high school, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the family. It's a little years ago, but that's when they were getting their jar. Look how little Troy is.
I know. And the girls.
I
know. My name's Mike Wisely. This is my wife, Lindsay. We have 3. Sammy Joe, who's 10 in 4th grade, Malachi, who's 7 in 1st grade, and a Rip who's 2 in the super pre-K time.
I love it, love it. Look, we got a little photo from you guys too, which was here. It was 2022, and that was Rip's first birthday. That's my one and only birthday on All In Sunday. So
I feel
that
like I'm
is.
in the way. I just need to like squat. I don't know. There's a picture. You can see it.
Oh yeah.
Everywhere I go, I'm in somebody's way on the screen. I don't know what to do.
Well, this morning you guys heard Clint talk about some milestones. And so we asked these parents who participated in All In a couple years ago to come up and kind of speak into some of those milestones to give you guys some just really good examples too, and just have some context for them. And so our first one that Clint kind of mentioned was commitment to regular gatherings. And we asked you guys a question which said, what changes have you seen in your kids or students since they've become a regular part of Foundation Kids and students? And what's really cool is both of you guys had great answers about this and about asking questions. Specifically for Mike and Lindsay, you guys said, we have noticed our kids becoming much more curious about the Bible and stories. They ask questions about God, creation, and other religions. Now I gotta ask you, when these questions come, are they like uber convenient? Like you're like, oh, this is perfect, I have 20 minutes to talk about nothing but this. Do they come at random times? And how do you guys navigate that as parents, making the time for those conversations?
Yeah, so the short answer is no. They come at times when you're usually running out the door or trying to drop kids off or whatever. As far as timing goes, it usually occurs at the end of a school day. We have time in the morning before school, so they'll think about stuff from the previous day, and then we sit down at breakfast time. We try to make that a routine, and then I'll get the question that should take an hour of explanation that I have to fit into 5 minutes.
Right.
But what we've seen is just this want to wrestle with these questions that they are experiencing in their everyday life in school and in sports, and that then they bring home and they're trying to square these ideas that they're learning from church and that they're hearing from school, and they're wrestling with, how does that fit into my life? How do I attach that to the foundation of a belief system that we're developing? And for us is the challenge of trying to relate that to the context of their life at their age and the environment that they're in. So.
Yeah, the fact that your kids are asking questions is a huge win for Robin and I. I mean, here on Sunday morning, we've been walking through our question and answer series. With students and kids, we create a huge environment that says, hey, ask questions. What questions do you have about God? What questions do you have about faith? And so when your kids leave church and begin to wrestle with that in their everyday life is huge for us. And so Georgette and Shane, same thing. You mentioned specifically that they're more confident to ask questions when they don't understand. And so speak into that. Is there a question that kind of stands out the most? Or, same thing, when do they ask these questions? How are y'all, what does that practically look like as your kids have grown to start to ask questions about God and faith?
So they never ask at the most convenient time or whenever I have an answer ready.
You don't have all the answers?
No.
Me neither.
And which is my quick escape. I have no idea. But, my kids are range in ages from 14 to 5. And so I have Troy asking simple questions like how God made air. And, then I have the harder questions of how do I love someone who doesn't love me? And they see me being vulnerable, being like, I don't have the answer right off the top of my head. Let's look at what we can find in the Bible. And they know it's not made up. It's not just something I thought of. And then they see it lived out, and they practice it. Then they see when they come to church, and they feel empowered to ask the same question again because they weren't met with any kind of ridicule or that's a immature question or a new question. Every question is met with the same enthusiasm and willing to answer. And I think that leads into other parts of their life.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks for sharing. Another one of the milestones Clint talked about, the 5 Jesus following adults. Again, it impacts everything we do here with student ministry and kids as well. And so one of the questions that we wanted to touch on a little bit is Shane and Georgette, y'all mentioned our girls are entering a stage of life where they are looking to young adults for direction. Whether they find it here, they're looking for it, right? So my question is, knowing that, what has given you confidence to say, hey, I'll let the leaders at Foundation Students and kids take one of those 5 spots, right? If a parent's saying like, hey, I want to start being intentional with these 5 spots, if they're that important, what has led you to give confidence to say, hey, I'll let Foundation Students kind of take one of those spots, or Foundation Kids do that?
Sure. I mean, one of the questions we always have is will they be accepted? Will they be, brought in and welcomed? And, I think it goes back to the whole ethos of Foundation, talking about the one and going out and finding people and bringing them in and making them feel welcome. So through serving load in, load out when we were at Noonan High School, breaking this thing down and putting it up every Sunday, or through the tornado recovery, or during small groups, we've had chances to be in small groups with a lot of the mentors and leaders. And through all that, we've just noticed that everybody is on mission, and they're really dedicated to making this a great place for the kids to come, feel welcome, and enjoy learning about Jesus and pouring into them.
Okay, so it took a little bit of time, though, would you say?
Yeah, it took a little time.
Yeah, I mean, part of the regular gatherings, right, being here consistently, but the ethos, I like it.
Same for you guys over here. So when you think about creating that space for 5 Jesus-following adults, how do you have confidence with us, and how do you let those adults, come a part of your lives and come alongside you guys?
Well, for sure, this was a tough sell for our family, being we have a law enforcement background and we have trust issues. But actually, when we came to Foundation in 2018, we made an intentional choice to lean in and to watch and to serve. And I don't think you get a good idea of any person or any adult unless you're spending time with them. And I think we started to see the way these other adults interacted with each other, and the way they interacted with their own children, and the way these children were producing fruit. And we watched that, and we gained confidence in that, because when you see that fruit, you begin to feel confident about leaving your kids with those adults and with the kids. They've got a ton of role models upstairs that are younger adults that are volunteering, and that's what gave us a lot of confidence. Anything to add?
I think that's great. So one of the milestones that Clint talked about was serving. I think that's a great segue into that. So we asked you guys about, hey, what has students or kids ministry added to your life that would be missing without it? And both of you guys mentioned serving in that answer, which I thought was super great. You guys said that we love that our kids get to see older kids volunteering to help. This has made them want to serve as well, which is really cool, because you also mentioned Bridging the Gap in one of your answers and how you guys serve there as a family. Walk us through how you guys make serving a part of your life on a Sunday morning, but also outside of a Sunday morning.
I think, it's been reinforced here at Foundation so often that this is not the goal. Sunday morning's not the goal. This, honestly, I've always said this to my family, it's extra for us. The real work happens in the other 167 hours in the week. And that's just kind of a light bulb moment that we had when we were here. And we started to do some work with Bridging the Gap on the weekends, where we would go and serve the breakfast. And they used to do a little church service. And we brought our kids to that, because it's really hard to talk about gratitude and serving. You can talk about it all you want to your children. Goes in one ear and out the other. I know it did for us when we were little. You have to show them this. I believe that. And that's how we've tried to live most of our days. We are not perfect by any stretch, but we have had to make intentional choices to bring them, to show them. They need something tangible to see. This is what it means. This is what it means to want, because you're not going to starve your kids. But you need to show them what it is. And so they've become very interested in the ice cream truck. They see some of the older students serving, and they want to do the ice cream truck. So we've done that. We've done Bridging the Gap. We plan to do summer lunch program. And we try to live it. Again, we are not perfect by any stretch, but serving is a sacrifice. And we try to show that it's not convenient. It's an investment to find purpose and meaning.
Absolutely. I think it's perfect that you just said we're not perfect. And so I have that conversation a lot with parents. There is no perfect parent. There's no perfect parent handbook. And so do not worry. You are not screwing it up. I think what's really cool is your kids do get the opportunity to see those students serving upstairs. We put a high priority in our students serving upstairs with kids. Right now, there's a ton of students in middle and high school serving in the kids ministry upstairs, and we love it. And we love that they love to do it. And it's great to see the kids watch them, because the second they go into 6th grade, they come back and they say, I want to serve because I saw so-and-so serving. I want to be just like that. So I think that's incredible that you're seeing that and you're honoring that with your kiddos.
Yeah, I think one of the keys is the intentionality aspect of serving, being inconvenient, but also being intentional around it. And so with two middle school girls who serve upstairs on Sunday morning with Robin, but also help out with some student teams that we have on Sunday nights when we do our gatherings, I feel like they're serving all the time, right? And so clearly they're inconveniencing yourself, they're being intentional. So let's just get practical for a second. Are they always like over the moon once they recognize like, oh, today is the day I have to get up early and go serve? Do they ever try to back out of it? And what is it like to kind of parent through just the reality of, hey, you're noticing like it's inconvenient, but also like how do we try to encourage them to see the inconvenience as like, hey, it's a serving time. It shouldn't be all butterflies and rainbows. So what is it like to parent through as you teach that side of serving?
Oh, yeah. Well, first we try to always let them know, first and foremost, you have a responsibility to yourself when you make a commitment. We try to ignore it, really. I mean, they're girls. And they complain a bunch about it. But mostly it's once they find and they remember what the bigger idea is, the bigger goal, they kind of get out of the funk. Whether it's a 5K that they're running that they're not really excited about, they see the end result of winning the medal. Or helping a kid play with a new toy or meeting a new kid. They see the fruit of what they were doing. It really started back when they volunteered for the first time for the tornado. And we were here in this room and somebody came to the door and they needed toilet paper. And as they were second or third grade and they brought the toilet paper to the lady and the lady started crying because she had nothing left. And the girls were like, wow, we really made their day by giving them toilet paper. And it was in that moment, I think, that they realized how little a moment could be for them, but how big it is for somebody else. And I think that keeps their focus. But mostly it's reminding them daily that they have a responsibility to themselves and to others to keep your commitments and to do them to the best of your ability with a grateful and loving heart.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think serving like Jesus is a big thing that we talk about upstairs for kids ministry. And so that's so that they can see what it's like. Once you're outside of your house, they're no longer living under your roof. You're no longer driving them to serve, that they still continue to make that commitment. We asked our mentors and volunteers a couple questions to get some feedback from them as well for today. And one of the questions we asked our mentors and volunteers was, what's one thing you wish every parent knew? And what was great, there was lots of good answers about, we love your kids, we want them here, we want your students to show up. But I think Rich DeWeese put it really simple and sweet. He said, we love your students and there are no strings attached. And I love that because 59% of Christian parents worry about their kids or students being accepted or accommodated in their faith community. These are Christian parents inside their church that they're worried about their kids being accepted and accommodated. And we asked you guys, have you ever worried about your kids being welcomed or accommodated? And what's really cool is Mike and Lindsay's answers, they had paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs. But for this question, you guys wrote 3 words to answer it. It was not at all. So walk us through how you guys weren't scared, that you had confidence, because there's 59% of people in this room right now who are nervous about this, and how you guys lead through that.
Yeah, so I think the first aspect is this sort of environment where the church and the staff and the community makes a commitment to the kids first, and I think that's a huge step. It's not you having to make the first step, it's the church saying, we're going to be there for your kids. The other one is this, again, where you make this open dialogue where you can have that discussion. The other part of it is being involved. In serving, you meet the staff, you meet the kids and the adults who are there with your kids. You get to know them. You get to know their children and their family. And so, again, that just makes an even more confidence that, hey, my kids are going to be taken care of. There's no preconceived notion of how a kid needs to be dressed or how they need to act or anything like that. I mean, we have a Rip, most of you guys know, in his little red car coming up. He has special needs, Down syndrome and a heart condition. But as soon as he was past the really hands-on stuff that we had to do with him when he was young, we brought him here and handed him over and said, hey, take care of him. Because we've built that trust. We know the people that are around, and he is now, even at 2 years old, able to be influential towards the people that are being with him to show, hey, he's a normal kid, and he's able to shine a light as well. And so I think that's all.
Yeah, Mike is one of our security guards upstairs sometimes. So if you've ever taken kids upstairs, you'll see his face up there, and he smiles and he's welcoming. He's not scary at all to the kids, which is what I love. He does such a good job messing with the kids and having fun and making sure that they know that they're safe up there because of him. So I love that you get to interact with those volunteers and have that faith and confidence.
So let's change the view for a second. A lot of the conversations have been around like, hey, this is where we are now. But more than likely, there's several families who are new to church, new to Jesus, maybe giving God a shot for the first time in a long time, and saying, hey, what does it look like to begin to, trust somebody else, specifically with our children, right? And we talk about faith community. And so when y'all showed up at Foundation, y'all mentioned that, hey, y'all are more on the 59% side of, hey, I'm worried about my kids being accepted, being welcomed, being brought in. So talk a little bit to that, because while y'all might be there now, what has kind of led you from those worries and those fears, kind of a little bit more confidence, I guess?
Sure. So, when we first started coming, obviously it wasn't just, here, go, you're good. We wanted to look at what was going on in the church and what they were going to be teaching and if they were going to be accepted, all those things we talked about earlier. But really leaning into serving on my end and our end has really given us the opportunity to meet everyone and see what they're all about. So I could encourage you guys, if you're wondering about it, get on a team, serve, and then you'll see what everybody's about here, and it give you more confidence to know that the kids are being taken care of.
I'll add on that. It was also seeing those that are in the church, outside of church, being the exact same way, pouring into our children. Erin Walton is our kids' chorus teacher, and they got to see her being all in and loving 100% to them outside of the church. And that really gave them the confidence that, wow, more likely than not, whoever we are here at church is who we are outside. And that made them want to keep coming back and to dig deeper, meet more people, and trust more people because of Erin just being who she is here and at school for them. So I think that's like the biggest thing, is being in the community and being who we are in and out of church.
Yeah, that's good. A lot of what we talked about this morning are kind of the results of them being intentional in those 10 key milestones, right? This didn't happen overnight. The things of, hey, were we seeing spiritual growth in our kids? The fact that they're starting to ask questions, it wasn't something that, hey, as soon as y'all did All In Sunday and you had your jars, like all of a sudden your family was changed. But hopefully we want to inspire you just so you could see a couple families that have just been doing their best. Not perfect, but knowing that, hey, if I'm not intentional in these areas, then there won't be growth. And so I'm thankful for just your time and sharing a little bit. Let's end this way. Shane, if you could just kind of pray to close us. Specifically, there's 5 rows of dads and moms and families that are saying, hey, at least from today on, we want to do our best to be all in. And for sure, there's grandmothers and other dads here as well. And so would you kind of pray to close us, but specifically for the families and the intentionality that they're going to try to attempt to have in their kids' lives?
Sure. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I pray that you will guide us in how to navigate these challenging times with our children. Make clear to us your intention about laying out a path for our children to seek your way. Please reveal your presence to all the parents here and help them encourage and find solitude in the decisions we make about guiding our children. Keep us accountable to consistently show your way. Please bless those guiding our children as mentors and leaders here so that they may be clear in their mission in taking care of our most precious creations. Thank you, Jesus, for your blessings and opportunities to serve. Amen.
Amen. Would you give them a round of applause for me? Thank you so much, guys.
We gave you a set of 10 milestones to go all in. And I think that can be a bit intimidating if it's the first time you started to walk through those 10 milestones and started to process them. And I want to make sure that we emphasize that it is a process, that it's not a checklist you just automatically figure out. Maybe you took pictures of it and you got to process through some lunch or dinner, maybe have some conversations just to say, hey, there's a few of these things that are non-existent in our life right now. And so how do we model that? How do we show that? How do we introduce that into what we're doing? And so I want to kind of give you a foundational piece that really starts all 10 of those things. And it's kind of like you could call it maybe a silver bullet, and it's kind of hidden in the bouncy ball jars that we give out. It's time. Like no matter what we talk about, it's time. It takes time. All 10 milestones require you to make an investment of time. And here at Foundation, we like to measure time with bouncy balls. Time is one of those things where you can't get more of it, but it is something that you can make the most of. I think bouncy balls are appropriate to measure time for a few reasons. First, as we all know, bouncy balls are fun. You know, like they're fun. Doesn't matter who you are, they're fun. I'm just telling you. So next time you take your kids like grocery shopping or Target shopping or whatever, just some place where there's lots of aisles and lots of people, I would encourage you to take a bouncy ball for each kid and take an extra one and just give it to them and say, hey, I got things to put in the buggy, and then you just kind of chill with it. There's no telling what's going to happen, right? This thing is going everywhere. Because you know what bouncy balls do. It's predictable as long as it's like perfectly flat and it's perfectly down and like that's it. But kids don't do this with they're not focusing as much as I am. You know what I'm saying? They're like, look at that flat wall. I wonder if I can get it to come back. No. You know what I'm saying? And then they're chasing it all around. And I'm sure. I'm sure some of you are like freaking out. You're like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Our church is telling us to give our kids bouncy balls and a public thing. I'm telling you, if you just let them have fun, you're going to be terrified. Everyone else, I promise you this, all the other dads that are there are going to think it's the coolest thing ever. I'm like, that's cool. And then the one lady who gives you the side eye, that's what the extra bouncy ball's for. Right? They give you the side eye and you just walk over and say, hey, it's okay. I got one for you too. And then you just go about your day, right? Bouncy balls, time. Not only are bouncy balls a lot of fun, but when you do prepare, it is doable, what we just said. If you think through it, you can share them with other people, right? Whether you're in a grocery store or wherever, sharing is doable. And people are always excited to get a bouncy ball. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. I got to get a back row. I don't know if I can get around the pole. We're going to try. Hey, watch your eyes. If you're not paying attention, wake up. Oh, watch yourself. Try this again. Oh, not good. Hey, y'all, I told you to wake up. Oh, not good. I got to pass you, Dustin. I'm scared now. I'm nervous because I almost, okay. One more time. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. That's not bad. Yeah. Oh, you feeling left out? That's close. That's good. I'm getting better at it. Sidearm works. The problem is when you measure time with bouncy balls and you have a lot of fun, they're easy to share. Before you know it, you're almost out of them. All of the jars that we gave parents this morning had a very specific number of bouncy balls in them. So our staff and volunteers took your kids' birthdays and they figured out how many seasons you have left with them before they turn 18. And every season is represented by one bouncy ball. And so the hope is that at the beginning of each season, you would take one out and you'd be one less bouncy ball. It's a really good reminder that, everybody's running out of time. But it's also a reminder, hey, let's not get all like crazy upset about it and just hold it. Bouncy balls are no fun when you just put them in the jar and hold it. But it's meant to take them out and to do something with it, to be on purpose with your time. I'll give you a few ideas, just very practical ideas that we attempt to live by in my family in terms of making the most of our time. First is this: you gotta let it take too long. We've got a lot of things on our plate, right? We've got a lot of lists of things to do. And sometimes kids will want to help with that list of to-do things. And in that, hey, I want to help. My immediate, efficient, logical brain is, this is not a good idea. You're asking to help me on number 2. I got 6 things I got to get done this afternoon. And sometimes that tendency of just the urgent overwhelms us. But the truth is, if we're really thinking about how to make the most with these, then it's probably a good idea to slow down and let it take longer than it should, because they get to be along for the journey. It means that you've got to let them strip the bolt or strip the nut. It means that you then got to take them to Home Depot and figure out how to buy another one. And then you got to show them how to drill out the bolt. And surely that takes 2 hours longer than it would have if you had just done it yourself. But who else should teach them how to do that? You got to let it take time. Second thing, I would encourage you to take the trip. Work, I get it. Like there's things in our lives that are happening, but you should just go. You should just go. And if you're in a place where you're like, financially, we just can't go, I love to sit and talk with you. We got a couple guys here that this is what they do, is financial planning. And I would love to help you figure out a budget and set you up to where you can say, hey, 18 months from now, we're going to do this bucket list thing that my kids have always wanted to do. It is doable. We decided this a number of years ago because I knew that we would never probably be in an income bracket that could do some of the things that I wanted to do with my kids. And when I was traveling with a band, I got to see a lot of things that I wish my kids and my wife was there to see with me. And so I know this is not a Dave Ramsey friendly thing, forgive me, Dave, but we got an American Express Sky Miles card, and it averages out to about every other year I have enough points. I haven't paid a single dollar of interest my entire time I've had it, but it averages out to where about every other year I can fly for free somewhere in the United States. And that's how we've done it. And we're supposed to go to Colorado this summer, and it cost us $44 for all 4 of us to fly there because we've been saving up Sky Miles for a long time to do that. And so it's doable. I can help you put a plan together. Taking the trip, doing the thing, I think it's huge. Like, ask your kids, what do they want to see? Where do they want to go? Make it something you talk about. Make it something you do together to figure out, hey, how do we get there? Put a piggy bank there. Whatever you got to do, like make it visual for them. Let them contribute in the process. It's doable. Third thing, third thought is you got to be a little more spontaneous. Stop being so predictable. Let them open 10 presents that's basically just a bunch of average socks and underwear this Christmas. And then in the last one, just let it be a note that says, pack your bags, we're going to fill in the blank, and leave right then. I know it doesn't make sense for a trip to leave like at 8 o'clock in the morning or whatever. Like we should have got there the last. No, just don't be predictable. Do something crazy. Wake them up in the middle of the night and just put them in the car, in the van, and just start going somewhere that you had planned. I know it doesn't make sense to do that with our logic brains of, we're going to be tired. Just break the mold with them. Give them things they're not expecting. And when you do those 3 things that are so practical and you have focused your life around following Jesus, they will see Jesus in all of it. As you go, they will see and discover why Jesus is so important to you. You can do those things and follow Jesus extremely well. Because the truth is, every single one of us that are in and around and have the care for and responsibility for children end up with a jar that's empty. Each time we do this All In Sunday, Robin prepares my jar for me, and she puts the number of bouncy balls in it that represents the time I have left with my oldest, with Emerson, my son. And over the last 6 years, 6.5, 7 years, this jar gets lighter and lighter. When we first started doing All In Sunday, when we first got after it, this jar wasn't all the way full, but it was pretty stinking full. I felt good about it. And every year, it's 4 less. Time. You know, it's a biblical concept for us to make good use of our time. It says, therefore, be careful how you walk, not as unwise men, but as wise, making the most of your time, because the days are evil. The days are going to suck this dry, and you will be left with nothing in it. That day's coming. And so don't let just day after day pass by. Be on purpose with your time. And I suggest you measure that with bouncy balls.